What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's FFDev here, and in this video we're going to be creating our start of our game. We're going to be creating the paddle class because the first game we're going to make is Pong. And so what you want to do is right click, go to add new class, and name it paddle, which I've already done that and put it in my source folder with my main file or main CPP. But after you do that, we'll go to our paddle class. We're going to include under the pragma once, we're going to include the SFML graphics.hppp, and then we're going to be let's see, private. I'm gonna put public first, then private declarators, and we're gonna go ahead and add a constructor. Paddle. That's not how we're gonna add our constructor, but we are gonna add a constructor paddle. There we go. And it's gonna take a float. I'm just gonna name that start X and a float start Y. Let's see, just give me 1 second here. What's going on with this? Well, that's not the right thing. Alright. Now that you get your constructor created, what we're going to want to do is press enter, and we're going to add in a rectangle shape. This is going to be the paddle, but we're not going to. Let's go ahead and add the function for it. We're going to add SF rectangle get shape, and this is going to be const. Then we're going to create an update function, void update, and it's going to take a float dt. And after that, we're going to create another function called set position, so void set position, and it's going to take in a vector2f reference, and we're just going to call that pause. Alright, and under the private area, we're going to add a rectangle shape, and we're just going to name this paddle shape. Then we're going to add in a vector2f. Under that, we're going to name that paddle size and use the curly braces, and we're going to initialize it to 10 by 100. And then we're going to create a float called move speed, and we're just going to set that equal to 500 for now. Then we're going to create another SF vector2 2f, name it paddle pause. We're going to add a boolean called move up, and a boolean called move down, and let's go ahead and set these equal to false right off the rip. And now I'm going to show you guys a cool little trick I do. Up here on our paddle constructor, click on it, go ahead and right click it, quick actions and refactoring. Let me try that again. This one to be difficult. Alright. Quick actions and refactoring. I guess you got to do it on the name and not where the parameters are at. Create definition of paddle and paddle CPP. We're going to do the same thing to the get shape. Now we'll do the same thing to the update. Just keep creating a definition for them. And we'll do it for set position. Alright. And now we got that in here, we'll just go ahead and change this return shape thing. Where after return, just put paddle shape. That's all we got to do. And now in our constructor, we're going to do quite a few things. Let's see. First thing we're going to do is going to be, we're going to do our start typing in for paddle shape, and we're gonna set fill color to SF color green. Under that, we're gonna go to paddle shape dot set size, and we're just gonna go ahead and set that to our paddle size variable that we created earlier. Now we're gonna go to paddle shape dot set position SF vector 2F, and we're gonna put that on our start X and our start Y. This way, whenever we create our paddle, those start X and start Y position that we plug in, that's where it's going to create our paddle. It's going to put the sprite there, or the rectangle shape there. Now we're just going to put our paddle pause dot X equals start X, and our paddle pause dot Y equals start Y. Just going to get everything all synced up. Alright, now in the update function we got a few things we need to do. It's nothing too serious that you probably haven't seen before, but I'll walk you through it. We're going to put if SF keyboard is key pressed, SF keyboard W, and then if that's pressed, we're going to put move up equals true. And under that we'll put else move up equals false. IntelliSense says it won't help me at all today. Now we'll do if SF keyboard is key pressed, SF keyboard S. If that is pressed, then we'll put move down equals true. Else move down equals false. Now what we'll just have to do under this is put if move up, then we'll say paddle pause dot Y minus equals, because up on the screen for SFML, because the way it handles graphics, up on it is going to be negative. When you're going up, you're going negative. When you're going down, you're going positive. So minus equals move speed times dt. And now we'll say if move down, then we'll say paddle pause dot Y plus equals move speed times dt. Alright, and now under this we just gotta do a couple more things to keep our paddles on the screen. We'll say if paddle pause dot Y is less than 0, then paddle pause dot Y equals 0. And likewise, we'll do if paddle pause dot Y plus paddle pause dot, or no, paddle size, paddle pause dot Y plus paddle size dot Y is greater than 1080, because that's what my resolution's in. It'll be the resolution of like your y-axis, whatever size you made your window on the y-axis. So if the paddle pause dot Y plus the paddle size dot Y is greater than 1080, and the reason is plus the paddle size is because by default in the rectangle we haven't changed the origin. The origin in SFML is always in the top left hand corner. So the origin's at the very top, so we have to add the whole thing down, the whole paddle size down to get to the bottom. That way we want to clamp our paddle to the screen. That way we can include the bottom of the shape as the bottom boundary, if that makes sense. So then we'll say paddle pause dot Y equals 1080 minus the paddle size dot Y. And the reason I'm doing this here is that way there won't even be any jerky motion or anything, because we're always keeping it clamped before we actually set the position. Now we can just do paddle shape dot set position, and we're going to set that to paddle pause. And now this function here, even though it looks like it does the same thing, you know, that this is doing, setting a position, this is going to be pretty handy. I found whenever I'm doing the networking, it just makes stuff a lot easier. So we'll just do paddle shape dot set position pause, and we are good to go on this right here. That's all that we had to do in this area. The CPP, now we're just going to do a couple of more things to get ready. We're going to go back into our main game function here, our main little enet setup, where we haven't done anything yet really, just still got our basic setup. We're going to include our paddle, which I've already typed in include because I was going to do that. So after you include your paddle under IOStream, we're going to go to, let's see where I want to do this at. We'll do it right here, right above our game loop. We're going to create two paddles because this is going to be a multiplayer game. Paddle P1, paddle P2, and we also got to give them some parameters. And the first parameter, I'm just going to put this 2 over, and then whatever 1080 divided by 2 is. And then the second one, we're going to put, let's see, our paddle size was 10 on the X. So I need to do 1920 minus 12 because we got to add the 2. I want these to be even. So it'll be 1908 on the first one, and then 1080 divided by 2. We're just going to try to keep our paddles lined up in the center of the screen. I'm going to make sure that's capital. Alright, so now we got our paddles here. We're going to need a couple of other things. We're going to type in SF clock, and we're just going to name this game clock, and then SF time, we're going to name this game time, and then float DT for delta time. Now right here under while window is open, this is our game loop. We're going to not in the polling event section, but right above that, directly under while window is open. This is important, it's here. We're gonna say game time equals game clock dot restart, and then we'll say delta or DT equals game time dot as seconds. Alright, so now that we got our delta time being set, we got our game time, we got everything being worked. This is so we can keep our game consistent regardless of the frame rate. So now that we got that, we're just gonna go ahead and go to window dot draw P1 dot get shape. And now we'll do window dot draw P2 dot get shape. And there's one last thing we got to do right after this. Right after the game time equals game clock, delta time equals game time seconds. Under this, we're going to need to update our paddles. And P1 dot update and P2 dot update, and just remember to pass in our DT as the argument, and if we did everything correctly whenever we run this, we should have two paddles all synced up and good to go. It's full screen, they're both clamped to the screen, and right now we're controlling both of them, but this has been a pretty lengthy video, so we'll start fixing this to where the other paddle can be controlled by a different player, and it's not being controlled, you know, by you. You're not going to be moving both paddles at the same time. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you found this video very informative and you liked it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already. I've seen that 92% of you people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So if you can do that, that would really help, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Take care. Thank you.